Perry Schumacher, Patriot, West Fargo. Welcome to Open Range today.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for allowing me this opportunity to editorialize about Charlie. Hopefully I make it through it.
So, Perry, take it away, man. I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay, I ask the indulgence of your viewers because this is going to get rather lengthy, but I think it's important and I hope they find it informative.
Shoot
Like
away.
everyone know, I'm both terribly sad and angry.
And we're going to talk with John a little bit about threat and violence that happens in America by the far left.
I am sad because Charlie Kirk, an unashamed Christian husband, father, and conservative icon, was assassinated for debating in a public forum. Charlie is my hero because he succeeded where I failed. We often, Gary, talk about the Tea Party days. We made small differences, but Charlie, the founder of TPUSA, made tremendous differences. He saw something we entirely missed. Rather than convince our peers, Charlie understood the future was in our youth. Youth millennials had to be taught their success depended on the continuation of the American dream as it was founded. I quit. I got angry. He worked. He stayed calm. He succeeded. I failed. I admire him for that. I also respect him because he was smart, articulate, and sincere. He also viewed conservatism as an actual movement, unlike so many of our pontificators who see it as an industry. Charlie walked the walk. He was fearless. He worked to get out the vote. He debated anyone. He proudly promoted Christ, family, and country. It was because of TPUSA that states like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona went for Trump in 2024. We owe that to Charlie and his compatriots. He was assassinated because he was so incredibly effective, winning debates with a smile on his face and love in his heart. Gary, I have only shed a tear 3 times in my life for public figures. First time was when Kirby Puckett announced his retirement from baseball. The second on the announcement of Rush Limbaugh passing away. And yesterday, when it was confirmed that Charlie Kirk, my contemporary hero, had passed. Charlie was going to be a future president. He is now a martyr for the founding principles of this country. He finished the race. I have no doubt Jesus Christ, our Savior, is saying, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." May God protect his family and children and give them strength. He was a modern day crusader. A generational talent has been taken from us. Demons live among us, Gary. We people of faith pray for God's mercy and wisdom in these times. Now, why am I angry? The murder of an innocent white woman on a subway in Charlotte, North Carolina was my breaking point. Then this assassination confirmed what I have been thinking for the last few years. In the year 1620, Puritan pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. They were Christians escaping religious overreach by the Protestant Church of England. But they eventually became the greatest country the world has ever known. America was founded on the principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The country existed and prospered on a social contract of equal justice, freedom of speech, and personal responsibility. The citizens of this country and all who immigrated to it were committed to that social contract. Today, after 250 years from our founding, that social contract lays shattered on the floor because absolute truths have become my truth. Our neighbors have become responsible for my failures. Every public institution has been corrupted, including the judiciary and public health. We have one side that says if you disagree with their conjecture or fantasies, you are the intolerant one. If you want safe streets, you are a fascist. If you voice the wrong opinion, you are dangerous. The social compact that bound us together no longer exists. We are no longer debating if the tax rate should be 42% or 15%. We are debating if men can have babies and if children should have sex changes. Half the country believes the exact opposite of what it did just 20 years ago. Way too many no longer believe in our Christian founding. When you get further from the SUN and the SON, it gets darker. The shadows are creeping in to every corner of America. We now have jungle rules with the survival of the fittest in Democrat cities. Are you familiar with the term War of Roses?
I am. I've seen the show.
In 1989, Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner were in a movie with that title. It was about a married couple that eventually grew to hate each other so much they tried to kill each other. Gary, sometimes husband and his wives can no longer live together. They must divorce. America needs a divorce. It is only the nostalgia of the past that keeps us pretending unity is still possible. If the founders had complete opposite views, we would have 13 separate countries, not one country. How many more assassinations and assassination attempts do we need to experience to realize this? But you will say, there are normal Democrats out there who see so many on their side have lost common sense. I say, I hope they exist, but I have not heard from them. All I hear are crickets. The silence of the normal Democrat is deafening. I have not heard from them tell the fools on their side that men cannot have babies and they should shut up. I have not heard from the lemmings on their side who say communism works if applied correctly and just tell them to move to a communist country. I did not hear from them when we were told to put masks on and stay 6 feet apart on a public safety lie. Instead, Gary, they are passively allowing the mob to turn this country upside down. 5 years ago, I was at my wife's company Christmas party, full of liberals. I asked one what the sex of his 2 children were, a boy and a girl. He refused to answer. Compliance exists in the desk right next to you. The silence of the so-called normal Democrats can only be concluded to be the acceptance, because to defeat Hitler, one must live in bizarro world. I don't call my political enemies Hitler. I call them fools or communists. And calling them communists is the truth, because an avowed communist is going to win and run the largest city in America. I'm not making it up. Calling them fools, well, that is just obvious. I want a divorce. I no longer want to argue with fools, because fools are fools. I don't want to chum around with normal Democrats, because in their silence, they are duplicitous. I will not accept untruths. I will not worship the murder of the unborn. If we can't have total defeat and capitulation of the crazy left, then I want a divorce. If total defeat at the ballot box is possible, then I want 1,000 prisons built. We are 40 trillion in debt, and what the hell is another few trillion? I want prisons built and prisons filled. I want Arkham insane asylums built and filled. I want my grandchildren to be able to ride their bikes around the neighborhood. I want all people to be able to ride public transportation safely. I no longer want us to be nicer than God. You will not be allowed to be arrested 14 times, then let out to murder a woman because she is white. I want capital punishment for crime murders, for capital murders like what we saw on the subway in Charlotte, North Carolina, after, of course, a trial and conviction. We no longer house the worst enemies for a lifetime, worst criminals for a lifetime. There was a time in this country, Gary, that you would hang if you stole the horse, because it was a person's livelihood. I want, if we can't defeat them at the ballot box, I want a divorce. If you believe in freedom and liberty and the American way, you move to a red state. If you want socialism, communism, and government-owned grocery stores, you move to a blue state. Once you're there, you never get to change your mind. You only move from red to red or blue to blue. In a decade, we will see that the socialist communist will live in crime, poverty, wooden stoves, and failure. The American will live in freedom, prosperity, and safety. I'm done being nicer than God. I want the fools and the communists as far away from me as possible. Sometimes divorce is the only logical conclusion. When they kill us rather than defeat us in the arena of ideas, we have crossed the Rubicon, and I'm done.
So Perry, you brought up the War of Roses. I remember a movie many years ago called Taxi. And as you're reading and laying that out for us, it reminded me of that movie Taxi, where the people were challenged to throw the windows open in their home and yell out, "I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take this anymore." And that's really what I heard you say. I mean, it is a point where we've crossed the Rubicon. And I interviewed Rick Becker recently, and there's been a lot of talk from people about states seceding from the Union and changing the way America is laid out. I'm afraid we're headed down some really rough roads here in the future.
The point is, we are America. They are not. They want to change it. They want it upside down. So you leave. We're America. We get to be called America, where men can't have babies. Well, children learn in school and they go to school, where you don't keep certain businesses open and others not. We are America. Screw them. I'm done with them. There's nothing we have in common. How do you make compromise? This isn't 40%, 15% taxes. How do you make compromise with somebody with a mental illness of transgender that wants to flaunt his junk in front of a child? I will not accept it. I will not go there. If that makes me intolerant, you're just a fool. You're crazy and a fool. We need the streets cleaned up. We need safety, and we need to get back to what America is, the shining city on a hill. We are nuts right now. This guy walks into that subway, says, "I got the white girl," and slits her throat, and people just stand there in indifference, not even a dialing to 911. I think we're at the end. I don't want to live that way, so we've got a choice. You better get off your ass in November and get to vote. Fantasy Football League or not, it is time to be active. We have to defeat these people or they go to Minnesota.
Harry, thanks for the rant. It's well said. All I can end is with ditto.